Welcome back this week. Ryan Couture, obviously been a repeat guest with us here a long time. Nick Gonzalez's opponent, Bellator 143. How many opponent changes before this one finally stuck? Like how many different guys were thrown at you before finally this one got signed?
Nick was the third one on this card, and then we had a false alarm on the August event as well. So
When you say false alarm, what do you mean?
we thought I was going to get a spot on that card, and there was a initial talks of an opponent, and then it all fell through, and they bumped me back to this month. So
Is it the opponent said no, the opponent was hurt, or the opponent never even knew about it? Just
I'm not sure what his situation was. I happened to notice a headline a few weeks ago that he signed an exclusive with World Series of Fighting. So maybe that's what happened. But I don't know if they were in talks with him before that or what.
okay. So it seems like you have a hard time getting fights. It seems like, and Bellator has enough fight space for you. They have enough guys for you to compete against, but it still seems like it's still kind of hard for you to get locked in. August, now September, could have been July, maybe it was going to be June. It's like these keep throwing these things around, and then wasn't it last year they were, or just recently they were like, oh hey, we want you to fight, this time you're like, I'm getting married, like I can't, you know what I'm saying, and then you had to go on your honeymoon, you had to bump it, you had to go on your honeymoon and come back and train and fight. So it seems like it's really hard for you to get fights. Does that seem that way to you too?
Yeah, it's been kind of frustrating. I'd prefer not to go 6 months between fights like I have so far over the last year. But I kind of see it as a transitional phase for them, going from the weekly shows and the tournaments to now doing monthly shows, and they're picking up some new guys. But I know they had a ton of people on the roster too from when they were doing more shows. So I think that the kinks will get worked out and it'll get a little more consistent here coming up soon.
If you had your perfect world, how many times a year would you fight?
I think 3 is ideal for me. I could squeeze in a fourth and not be too stressed about it, but I think 3 would be the sweet spot.
You're a gym rat. You're never out of the gym. I mean, and when I say gym rat, you don't just coach the gym. You also run the front desk. Intake new students, plus coaching, plus having to train all the time. So you really are a true sense of a gym rat. You're if it wasn't for the couch you're sitting on right now, you'd be living in one of the back offices over at Couture. Um, is that going to come to a point where you're just like, all I want to do now is just fight, or are you so comfortable, doing the process, as part of the team at Couture's, that you just don't want to switch off?
I think if anything, the transition would go the other way. That I'll get to a point in the next few years where I've done what I want to do in fighting, and I'm ready to move on to just focusing on coaching and trying to take on a bigger role at the gym. So, I see this kind of as my run at the Bellator title, and really do some big things in these next couple of years, and then hopefully be ready to walk away and focus on other things.
No acting, stunt work. You're not trying to follow your dad's footsteps at all.
No, I think I got my fill of frustrating, fickle businesses with the fight world, and I'd like to eventually transition to something a little more steady and stable.
Yeah, it doesn't change. It's Hollywood. Hollywood is a worse animal almost.
Yeah.
Than fighting. So you've made the transition very, very easily from UFC to Bellator. It was a very simple transition for you. You slowed down. They're obviously trying to write on your name quite a bit. And then it was like, well, I'm separate. I'm a different person, so you can't give me, number one, number two contenders. I'm still building my game up. And you seem to have done that very well. It seems to be, I know you train hard, and I know you put a lot of time in, and you're very cerebral, you're a very smart fighter, but it seems like when you're fighting, it almost seems like silly. Like it's almost, everything goes exactly the way that you want it to go from the couch. Now, inside the cage, does it feel that way?
Luckily, these last 4 fights or so now have gone really, really smoothly, and knock on wood. Hopefully, I'm not due for a hiccup in that. But I think we've really started to find the right recipe, and I've kind of started to find my identity as a fighter, and what I need to be focused on, and what I need to be doing to give myself the best chance of winning. And luckily, things have been falling into place. So I just got to keep doing what I've been doing and showing up prepared, and the outcomes will keep going my way.
After you lost to Quinta, was there a change a coaching staff change, or strength and conditioning coach change, or did you have to change anything up in your camp? Because at the Quinta fight, you won the last 4 all by rear naked choke. So obviously something clicked after that fight. But was it a change, or was it just finally everything kind of molded together with the coaching staff?
There were some staffing changes at the gym altogether. So Neil left, Tim took a long hiatus, and Coach Follis came in. Dennis stepped up and took on a bigger role. I've been working with Gil Guardado for my strength and conditioning since Jake moved to Florida. So there were a lot of changes over the course of that year that I was with the UFC, and then got dropped and signed with Bellator, and I've just kind of been settling in and finding more of a routine, and really kind of growing those relationships with those new personnel, and it's been huge. I think I've really got myself on track, and I've got a good system in place.
Are you using the same coaching, the same corners are going to be the same corners you've had for the last 3 fights?
Yeah, this time it'll be Follis and my dad again. So Dennis has been in the mix there for a couple of the last 4 fights, but other than that, it'll be the same.
From coaching it tough, or excuse me, from reffing it tough enough, and seeing Dennis in the corner with Nick Sick and the rest of the guys, I really think Follis is highly celebrated. Like, everyone knows about Robert Follis, but I think that a lot of people don't really know about Dennis Davis. And the problem is that he's a fighter, didn't have a great record. He's actually a way better coach than he was a fighter. Like, just amazingly better coach than he was as a fighter. But understands the game from the inside. So he's not like a guy that's just, I was a karate guy, now I'm coaching MMA athletes. He's a guy that fought and came in. He's highly underrated as a coach. I see him coaching when I'm reffing and giving the right advice at the right time, and it's amazing what he does. Do you feel the same way too about Dennis? That some people just aren't giving him the full, a big enough credit base?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's one of the best coaches in the world, and he's finally starting to realize that himself and come into his own confidence-wise. I think he, for a long time, felt like he was stepping in and taking over this team of guys that he had trained alongside. That he kind of felt like he was their peer, and so he wasn't able to step up into that leadership role as comfortably. And I think that's starting to go away. He's starting to really come into his own, and I think the results are going to show. And even just looking at our amateur team that he's been working with for a few years now, and how incredible those kids have come along, it really speaks to his skill as a coach. And I think, if nothing else, just how much he cares about his fighters and wants the best for us all. And he puts his heart and soul into his work. And I think it's really going to pay off for him here in the next few years.
Dennis obviously has had a baby, so he's also, now a deep family man. He's got the same, the same issues that every new father has: getting to bed late because the baby's up, getting up early because the baby wakes up. Has there been any problems with him? Coach, is he coming a little bit more tired, a little more irritable because he was up late or whatever? From a coaching standpoint, has he been irritable at all because of the newborn?
Really hasn't seemed to affect him. If anything, just the fact that now sometimes when I show up at 8 a.m. to lift weights, he's already been there for a couple hours working with private clients and stuff. I think it's adjusted his schedule, but he seems to be taking it in stride and not letting it affect his work.
Follis always seems to be on the road. He always seems to be traveling, especially as of late. He's got a lot of stuff that kind of pulls him away from the gym. But he is the leader of the gym. He is the main head guy there at the gym as far as instruction goes and coaching goes. Do you feel like with Follis's busy schedule, because he's on demand by so many other things, that you feel like it pulls away from your training at all?
No, he still finds the time to work in with us guys that he focuses on. He's got, obviously, Misha and Brian get a ton of time from him, and Kevin Lee he works a lot with very closely, and myself. So he fits us all in there and groups us up as needed, and makes good use of his time. So even though he does travel a lot, cornering people, and he's got side work here in town that he does as well. He's a busy guy, but he does a good job managing his time and making sure that everybody gets what they need.
Yeah, it finally seems like you have the right sequence of coaches and stuff. Now, how much did it hurt you with Tim Lane, your boxing coach, taking that much time off? Like, after the Pacquiao, the name's escaping me, Pacquiao and
Jerry
fight. Yeah, after they fight, he took that long hiatus right after that fight. Like, he just kind of walked away a little bit to reset himself. How much did that bother you? I mean, how much did that bother you? How much did it hurt you as far as training goes, having Tim gone for so long?
It was a bummer at first, and obviously missed him, and I'm happy to have him back in the gym now. He's just such a great personality and such a great energy that he brings to the training room. But I think it also kind of forced me to readjust my focus. And it was easy. It's so fun working with him. It's easy to get caught up in playing around with my kickboxing and trying to learn new tricks, and not having him around forced me to get back to kind of nuts and bolts and focus on my clinch game and closing the distance and being more of the fighter that I need to be, and not having that temptation to want to start messing around and learning some new kicks and playing around on the pads so much, and just kind of getting back to grinding, which I think is what I'm best at and where I'm most effective.
So you've gone back to grinding. Obviously, you've had some good, you had some good spinning kicks. You have some good back heel kicks. Obviously, from Tim Lane's instruction. But you're right. Your best way is grinding. So with this Nick Gonzalez fight, is it going to be more of a grinding kind of inside fight where you're going to end up trying to get, for the fifth time in a row, a rear naked choke for a finish?
Yeah, absolutely. He hits hard and he can take a lot of punishment. So it's definitely not in my best interest to stand there and take turns with him. I think he can probably take more than I can take and give as much or more than I can give. So why not go to where I've got the advantage, which I think in the clinch I'm going to be able to wear on his cardio and tire him out. That's a position I'm comfortable in. I don't really gas out there. So if I can make him work, and eventually I'm going to drag him to the mat, and he's going to give me his back trying to get back up, and he's shown he's susceptible to that rear naked choke in the past, and that's my best finish. So I don't see any reason to think that it won't end that way again.
So do you see this fight as Nick trying to keep it on the feet as much as possible, and Ryan trying to put it on the ground as much as possible?
Yep.
So what happens if you slip on a banana peel and up on your back, and now you're like, oh, rear naked choke's out of the way because he's on top of me? Are you going to fight your way back up to your feet and reset, or is it going to be now it's just I'm comfortable here, it's going to be a grappling game?
I definitely am trying to move away from being comfortable playing the guard. I'll be looking to stand and use that scramble potentially to either catch a submission or sweep him and find my way to the top. I'm not going to hang out underneath him because he hits hard standing up. He probably hits hard from the top position too. So no reason to put myself in harm's way. I'd rather make him work hard to try and hold me down. And if I can find top position in that scramble or get back to my feet, I'm happy either way.
Last question before I let you out of here, Ron. I know you got to get prepped you got a long day today. You have to go train and then you got to sit at the desk, right?
Train and then teach class at 7 tonight. So
it's a long day for you with both training sessions plus coaching. So the rear naked choke, it seems to be a signature move at this point of your career. You said you finally found how you are as a fighter, kind of where you fit in to the fight game. Do you get the rear naked choke just because the choke is there all the time, or do you get it because you're working on a different submission and they give you the neck because they're trying not to give their arm up or they're trying not to give up their wrist?
I think it's kind of a product of my style of wrestling, the way that I, body lock guys and put them up against the fence and just sort of drag them to the mat. I'm not a real explosive finisher. I don't have a blast double. I'm not real slick with my wrestling, but I'll just keep chipping away until eventually I'm dead weight and I pull you to the mat. And easiest way most guys see to try and get back up is to get on all fours and start standing from there. And I've gotten really good at finding my route to the back and locking those hooks in. And once I'm on there, I'm a real pain to shake off. So I think I just kind of break guys down and wear them out, and eventually the neck shows itself.
That's Ryan Couture getting ready to fight Nick Gonzalez coming up here on Bellator 143, September 25th, of course, on Spike TV. Ryan, thanks so much for coming in. Have a great rest of your training camp. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Trigg. Sounds good.